Mate.
All right, it is official. Good day, as in good morning, good afternoon, and perhaps even good evening. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. I'm Jill Greenbaum, and I'm one of the Drawifiers. At Drawify, our mission is to make communication and collaboration more impactful using drawings. That's why we developed Drawify. Although we believe everyone is able to draw, not everyone feels confident enough. So we created a platform where you can create visual stories, templates, and more without having to draw yourself. Behind the platform, there's a bunch of amazing, talented visual storytellers that feed the platform with drawings and templates for you to use. Besides that, we want to inspire you, make you even smarter in visual storytelling, because above all, we want you to shine. That's why we organize our monthly sessions like this one, where we share tips, tricks, and knowledge. And today we have the pleasure and honor to invite Andra as a guest speaker. She helps teams create valued outcomes together. She teaches them how to work and communicate better in a playful, practical, and enjoyable experience. She is a Scrum Master, workshop designer, and facilitator from Romania, actually living in Austria. She is most grateful when she is able to help others grow. Today is all about demystifying design sprints. You'll discover the secrets of design sprints and the brain science behind them. Thank you so much, Andra, for sharing your expertise with us.
Thank you, Jill, so much for the intro. And hi, everyone. I'm really happy to see you here. This will be very focused 1 hour session. It will be recorded, so if you lose something on the way, or for the ones who are looking to the recording, you will be able to see it. I will switch from time to time from virtual whiteboard, which is called Miro, to my flip chart here, and I will tell you where I am so that you're able to follow. And we will have visualization all over, because this is what Drawify is about, visualizing your thoughts, as Jill already said. The session is about design sprints and why am I here. I started with design sprints a few years ago by reading the book of Jake Knapp, and then I took a masterclass training. Then I started to apply them, and while applying them, I was wondering what happens in the background. What is the brain science behind the design sprints? Why do they work so good? Because I did know about the benefits and actually what is the outcome and how does the structure work, but I didn't know why does it work. And I am today to share with you, for the ones of you who do not know what a design sprint, what it is, and also to help you to discover some myths, some of the facts that might be misconceptions, but also to show you what is behind a design sprint. So here I am with the beautiful poster, I would say beautiful, that I managed to do before the session with the design sprint demystified. And one of the principles of the design sprints that we will apply together, and I wanted to share it with you that you know it already, that you will work like in a design sprint today. We'll be together but alone. Some of you might know about it. It's about working on the same thing together, but in silence. And this will be by working on discovering the design sprints myth, by reflecting together and sharing the things also in a silent way. I will show you how to do that right away. And because we are talking about sharing, I will also invite you in a Miro board that I have just prepared for you. I put it now in the chat, and I will also share my screen for the people who are watching the recording, because I would like to invite you to connect with each other.
Andra,
Yes?
apologize to interrupt. I don't have access to the chat given my setup. Is there
Yes,
any chance
yes.
it can be sent to me somehow, please? Thank you.
Yes, of course. I will send you in 1 second, okay? Because I have your email as we know each other. Okay, let's do that. So I will invite you in Miro to connect, to just write if you want, if you have a website or LinkedIn, and what are you helping people with? For example, I help teams solving complex challenges in a playful manner. and maybe you kind of connect with each other today and you want to keep in contact. And as soon as you're finishing with that, I will also invite to connect with the topic of today, which is design sprints. And one of the parts of design sprints is about immediate feedback. So I would like to invite you to answer to a question, which is, what is it like for you when you get immediate feedback from someone about your work? Taking this in consideration, I will just invite you for 1 or 2 minutes to write. Put again in the chat the Miro board to make sure that everybody who connected has it. And I will put also some music in the background and send to Audrey the link. So this will be the first silent exercise for the ones who just entered, just to connect with each other and with the topic of the session.
J'ai peur que ça soit faux, donc,
Okay. And I invite you to go to Miro board. In case you do not have access, you can also write in the chat, and I will copy it there.
Is it just me or we lost the music?
Thank you. I didn't notice.
It is just you, actually. The music is soft.
Okay, then it's just me. It's okay.
Ah, okay. Thank you so much for sharing on the board. Also to be able to connect with each other, and also why and what it's like for you when you get immediate feedback from someone from work. I will just read some of them because it's I'm really curious. Someone says, move forward quicker. Exciting, gets me in the zone versus stop and go. It's great. It helps me move forward, inspiring and interested, refreshing, grateful, unusual, okay, grow fast, valued, constructive, effective, appreciated, valued, collaborative, immediate opportunity for improvement, vulnerable but grateful. Thank you so much. It's really inspiring for me because I work with many teams from different areas, and one of the things that I ask usually it's how often do they exchange feedback and in which way, because the way you do it, it's also quite important. Nice. Now I will stop sharing the screen, and I will invite you in case you have a paper by hand. Otherwise, you can also use it. I prepared a lot of sticky notes for you in Miro, so there's infinite number of sticky notes there. In case you have a paper, I will just invite you to fold it 2 times. Yeah, so 1 time and again, a second time. If you don't have one or just sticky note, that's also fine. Why I would like to invite you to have some pen and paper by hand, because there might be some things that you want to note down today. And one of the ways that it might be helpful for some of you, because it's maybe not relevant for all of you, it might be helpful to remember the information better. For me, at least, it does. So in case you have some paper and pen, it might be useful. Otherwise, as I said, you can just write your thoughts in Miro. There's plenty of space for that there as soon as I reveal it. Great. So as the session said, one of the reasons why we are here is to discover what a design sprint is and what a design sprint is not. So for the ones of you who do not know what a design sprint, I will share and explore it together. For the ones of you who know already what a design sprint is, maybe you would like to know how I present what a design sprint is, because I just invented something on my paper. And I will highlight myself to spotlight just to make sure that you see my screen. Maybe you just tell me if it's my flip chart, sorry. Yeah, perfect, thank you. So about design sprints. It depends on which kind of products do you work. If you work to develop a product, can be a physical product, can be a digital product, any kind of product. The idea, from one idea until you arrive to a product, there is a cycle. And in our imagination and, let's say, ideal case, usually what we would like to have is that we start from one idea, then we build that idea, we launch the product, and then at one moment in time, we arrive to the real users and get some feedback. Now, what happens, and I will just move a little bit my flip chart. Did you see me? What happens is that sometimes you start from one idea, you build it, and the building and the launch is very, very long. It goes out of the screen probably. So one of the reasons why Jake Knapp and John Saraski, the 2 authors of the Design Sprint book, came to the conclusion that the build and the launch are very long and somebody has to do something about it, is that people were getting a lot of frustration. During their work for a product, they started initially with a lot of enthusiasm, and sometime when this was stretching so long, the building and the launching, then they just didn't want to work anymore, or they just were so frustrated that the things were not running anymore as they wanted. So what Jake Knapp was describing in his book is that instead of this big cycle, which is going sometime out of the roots, we cut this part and we go straight from one idea to the real user's feedback. And this is how they defined, very easy to understand for everybody, a design sprint. If you want to make notes about that, feel free to do so. And then I will continue to show you more. Okay, ready? What I wanted to show you, it's also a very simple explanation in 3 steps of what a design sprint is. You see here some faces. It's about the alignment. The first step in a design sprint is to align on a problem that is worth solving, something that bothers you so much that you want to solve it. It's a different discussion of how big is the problem, how small, what is the challenge, and if it makes sense to do a design sprint or not. But the main idea that you start is to align on a problem that it's worth solving. The second step is to decide on which solution, after you have ideated a lot of solutions for this problem, to decide on which solution you want to try. So you have a problem that you align that you want to solve, and then you decide after a lot of solutions that you ideate on which one do you want to try it out to see if that solution is usually it's the one that you want to implement. And then the third step is to validate if this solution will solve the problem. Because maybe, and in some of the cases it happens, the result is that that solution is not solving the problem, which is perfectly fine because it's better than losing months of work, minimum 3, for example, in a digital product, where you work to implement it and then at one moment in time you get feedback that's actually not the solution of the problem. So it's better to solve it in a few days than in a few months. And the result is that you start from one idea and you get real feedback immediately. So again, 3 steps: align on a problem worth solving, decide on a solution that you want to try, and validate that this solution will solve the problem. I will just let you a few seconds to write down if you want to do that. And you can also use your paper. You can write something on the left column, because on the right side, I will invite you later to just draw your ideas, to also use a little bit of drawing. So let's just make some notes. Okay. I will give you some time from time to just write down if you need something, if you like to. And now that you discovered what a design sprint is in a very short way, simple way to understand it, in a visual, of course, because we are in a Drawify webinar, and that's what helps us most to visualize our thoughts. I will also now invite you to discover by yourself this time what a design sprint is not, because there are a lot of misconceptions around design sprints. Since the book was written, there were a lot of, say, changes, let's call it improvements, that came on, and people are doing it in a very different way. There are a lot of variations of design sprints since the book was written, and many people have different understanding. Still, the main idea is the same: to start from one problem, to decide on which solution you want to try, and then to validate it. And I would like to invite you in Miro again, and I will also share my screen soon, as soon as I uncover one part for you, because I have prepared something for you in Miro. So now the focus is not on me on my flip chart, but on Miro on the screen, just to make sure. And I will share my screen. Why did I do that? Because I could have put you some slides and explain you what I believe the myths are. But since I learned how to draw and how to create interactive sessions, my way of doing is not with slides. I have 0 slides today, but to invite people to discover by themselves, because it's a really deeper way of learning. So in the Miro board, I will bring everybody to me. This means your cursors might move on the Miro board in case you didn't use it so far. And you have here, I will just zoom in one of the space. You have a lot of workspaces, so you can choose wherever you want your own workspace. It's an individual work that I will invite you to. And I have created some examples of myth or reality. I don't tell you. So I will invite you to just read the sticky notes that are here and move them around if it's a reality or a myth, a reality or a myth. As soon as you're ready, I will invite you to uncover this, but only when you're ready, and read what I have prepared for you and the explanation. Of course, it's an invitation of discovery. So you might have a different opinion. Maybe you have other experience. I will be really curious if you have other experiences to share them, because this is a group of like-minded people. We learn from each other. It's not only about you learning from me, I learn from you also. So I'm totally inviting you for that. So why I'm inviting you to do that is because this is the, let's say, core of the session, to discover the myth of the design sprint. And then we will talk about the neuroscience of design sprint. So we are in the Miro board. I will put in the chat again the link in case you came later, and invite you to go to Miro board and pick up a place and also start just working. We will take around 5 minutes that you have enough time to reflect. And I will put some music in the background for that. Good. Let's see if the music works. Okay, perfect. And have fun discovering the myths. I see some of you finished already. So for the ones of you who finished, I will invite you, in case you have questions, to put them on the how part of the Miro board. You can just grab a sticky and put some questions. Maybe you have some confusions there, and I would like to know which ones. If you have some aha moments or some wow moments, I will also invite to grab a sticky and put them in the wow section. And for the ones of you who still need to finish, then inviting you to still do that. Time will be up soon. There will be a sound from Miro in case you don't know it, so don't make a heart attack from it. Just as a heads up. That was it. Okay. I'm happy to see that you found your workspace and that you took my invitation to discover the myth. And I'm also thankful that you wrote some questions and some wows. I will come back to them a little bit later because probably you will have more questions or more aha moments today. There is something in the chat. Great questions. Okay, thank you, Jill. I didn't have time to look at them, but I will do that. And you can continue to write to finish your sticky note if you do that. I will just stop sharing and move to the next part. I will come back again, yeah. So what we just did in 30 minutes, we connected to each other. We also shared about the feedback and how does it feel for you. You also discovered what a design sprint is, and theoretically also what is not from the myth. I will come back to your questions and your aha moments a little bit later after we have discovered also the neuroscience part behind the design sprints, because probably you will have more. So what I would like to invite you now, grasp again your paper, or you can also put your notes if you don't have a paper in the wow area of the Miro board. Now I will invite you to look at me because we will discover together the neuroscience behind design sprint. And before I share with you that, I wanted to share a little bit of the epiphany behind it. So how did I come up with that? Because I was very curious to find out what's behind the design sprints. And one of the things that I learned in one training, which is called the neuroscience of communication, is about the stress curve and how does it affect our work and where is the performance happening. And one of the things that I have discovered during the design sprint was that one team was working together and the performance was immediately increasing comparing to the normal way of working. And this was something that struggled the curiosity in myself to find out the why behind that. So one of the things that I would like to share now, it's about the stress curve, and I will also make a connection with what happens in a design sprint. So I will invite you to write on your paper if you have some aha moments, and also I will share what is with this stress curve. This information I have from the Neuromindfulness Institute, one of the programs that I did as a neuromindfulness coach, and it's inspired from them, so I didn't invent it that. And this is a diagram where you measure performance and stress levels. Some of you might relate to it in a totally different way than thinking about design sprints, and this is what I would also like to invite you to do, because maybe you have some clicks around this stress curve that you didn't have so far, and maybe you would like maybe to share afterwards. So in the green part of the stress curve, there is too little stress. So imagine here you're somewhere maybe in a holiday or in any kind of location where you feel totally relaxed. And at one moment in time, it might be that you need some kind of motivation to do something. When that kind of motivation and little sparkle starts, you arrive somewhere in this area. This area, it's called the neurostress, and I will just write it here. So I hope you can see it like this. I think so. So eustress, and I will just make it here that you see it better. In this area, what happens is the performance is at the top level. Also, when you arrive from the totally relaxed to a little bit of stress, so many neuroscientists that I have learned from say that a little stress is good when you are staying in this area of eustress, which is the performance area. And in this area, there is dopamine release. Dopamine is one of the brain neurochemicals, and it's one of the happiness neurochemicals that is released by the brain when we have a certain activity that is meeting our psychological needs, and we are having pleasure and motivation to do our work. The next area, it's the orange one. As soon as you go here and you stay a longer time here, around 1 to 2 weeks, where the stress level is increasing, and also from let's say, from how you feel, you're active, you're awake, but you feel stress in your body. This is like here. Where you feel at one moment in time exhausted. When you're in this area, cortisol is released by your brain and body, and you start to feel the level of the stress a lot. Many neuroscientists say that when you stay in this area more than 2 weeks, you arrive in the red area, which guess what? It's the burnout area. And this is the distress area. Depending on your capability of staying longer in stress periods or not, you might have this line left or right. Important is that one of the, let's say, message to take away from here, if you don't know this already, would be to make sure when you reach the limit that you come back. Ideally would be that you stay in the yellow area, but of course, we know that the reality is different. But if you know your body and how your brain reacts, then you might know where this limit is. And if you don't know, then I would kindly invite you to discover it by yourself. So coming back to the design sprints, because I just showed you this stress curve, the optimum stress is happening here in the eurostress area. This is the area that we are focusing. When high performance is happening, people have a very strong motivation in that week, or depending on how you set up the design sprint, in that period where the design sprint is happening. when the work together is happening, because um, one of the reasons why I wanted to reach to this neuroscience behind it, it's also to show you a little bit of what happens in the brain, which are the happiness neurochemicals that are released when you are in a design sprint. In a design sprint, you work as a team, you have one goal, and you want to solve a problem together for a specific product. And you want to test it with real users to get immediate feedback. Now, what happens is, of course, with the fast feedback, you get immediate response from your brain and dopamine is released because it's like that. It's the same that happens when you go on LinkedIn and you see something that you like. It's the same dopamine, only that in this case, it happens, let's say, together with other people in a shared environment. Another happiness neurochemical that is released is oxytocin. And this is released because the team in a design sprint have common goals. They work together. It's like one boat, one team. And they share their perspectives and they create a trust environment, a safe environment. Oxytocin is also released when you have a trust environment. When people are not trusting each other and you work in an environment where you do not feel that, then the other kind of neurotransmitters are released, like cortisol and adrenaline. And another one that I wanted to share is the endorphin. We know that by laughing, this endorphin is released by our brain, another happiness neurochemical. And if you ran any design sprint without laughing, please tell me. I didn't so far, so it was a lot of fun. Even though it was a lot of work, it is a lot of fun, and people coming together is a powerful way. They laugh in the breaks while drawing. They have a fun environment, which is created also creating psychological safety. And the last neurochemical that I wanted to share, it's the serotonin. This is released by our brain when we feel respected by the others. And one of the buttons that is pressed is our status. Some of you might know there is a book written by David Roth. It's called Your Brain at Work. And in this book, he talks about a model, which is a universal framework, SCARF model. And one of the buttons that he mentioned there is the status button, meaning when we feel appreciated by the others, when our work is, let's say, acknowledged, and we feel grateful that other people are seeing that and that are appreciating us. And the same thing happens when we appreciate other people and we are seeing their work. So all of these four neurochemicals of happiness are released, especially dopamine in this eustress performance line that you see here. I would like now to take a moment to give you some time to digest that and ask you to just write on your paper or in the Miro board, whatever you want to take away from this, and then we will go forward. So to do that, I will just share some music and invite you to reflect a little bit what you can take away.
The music is coming and going.
Thank you. So I hope it was a good time to reflect, and also inviting you afterwards, after I will share the next paper and neuroscience research that I did, to also put afterwards your notes in Miro so that we can get some inspiration from each other. I will go now forward, if it's fine for you, and reveal something else. Thank you for the feedback. I want to invite you to deep dive more in this optimal stress. There is a podcast, some of you might know about it, from Andrew Huberman. He's a neuroscientist, and he talks a lot upon performance, teams, how brain is working, and so on. One of the podcasts, it's really interesting. It's about optimal stress and how do we stay there. And he has a lot of steps that you can combine, take one part of them, all of them, to support you in staying in that optimal stress. And do not go back to the green part that you saw before or to the orange part in the too much stress. And from all of this, I would like to share 3 of them, even though all of them are fitting to the design sprint. And I will also share an article that I wrote at the end about this so that you can read more. One of the things that is helping the team that is working in a design sprint to stay in optimal stress, it is about the instant feedback. Because you do not wait for months until the real users are testing your product, what you built together in one team, but you do that in a few days. And this immediate feedback helps you to stay in that optimal stress. Because as I said at the beginning, if it goes and stretches for a long time and many months, then this kind of motivation and the way that we like to work is going low, and we are not in the optimal stress anymore. We are in the orange part that you saw before, which is close to deep stress. Another part, which is also helping the teams that are working on a design sprint to stay in the optimal stress, is probably you see something of this puppet and the scissor, is to focus on what it is in your control, which probably you will say, yeah, this doesn't apply only to design sprints. Of course, one of the reasons why design sprints are so powerful is because you do collect all the challenges that you have. You do that kind of map of your product, and you have different areas on the map where you have challenges, but you target only one of them, the one that is in your control, because it doesn't make any sense to create a solution for something which is not in your control. It will be only disappointing for everybody, right? So one of the things that is helping in this case is to focus on what is in your control. And a very important moment of a design sprint is when you choose that kind of problem that you want to work on. And one of the third points that I wanted to share today with you, it's a balance between capabilities and challenges, meaning that it makes a lot of sense to take care which challenge do you choose for this design sprint. I will not go deeper into that, but there are different, some of them are too small, and then you don't need a design sprint to work. You can just solve it out in a small, maybe workshop. Some of them are too wide, are too broad. When you want to, let's say, do a rebranding or something like that, it's a very big challenge for the product and for a problem to be solved. So you want to know where is the balance, to balance the capability of the team with the challenge that you have. Okay, so 3 points: the instant feedback, focus on what is in your control, and balance between capabilities and challenges. And if you'd like to take this with you, I would encourage again to make some notes. And as soon as you are ready with the notes, I will also encourage you to go to Miro board and share them there in the WOW area. I will also share my screen just that you know where I'm referring to. And immediately afterwards, we will take the questions. let's make some notes and listen to some music. So very interesting questions indeed, and thank you so much for them. I will jump into the questions part now, right now, because we have 11 minutes left, and in respect to your time, going through them, right, one by one. I hope we have time for all of them. Okay, I will just start with something that relates to what I just discussed before. How do you do it confidentially in 3 days, unless it's not 3 consecutive days? Maybe you saw one of the myths of design sprint was related to making it 5 days or a strict time, a limiting in time. And maybe I will also take this one because it's related. You mentioned you can do sprints over a few months, wouldn't lose momentum. In the book, Jake Knapp is talking about making a design sprint in 5 days. There are many other versions in 4 days, back-to-back sprints, and so on. It really makes sense, depending on your team and your challenge that you want to solve, to decide if you facilitate it in how many days to do it. Some people are able to take 5 days in a block. Some people are able to take 3 days in a block. Some people are not able to take even 1 day in a block. I had, for example, one example because I'm doing a lot of design sprints in banking, in finance industry, and people were not able to take a few days, even not 1 day. So I proposed them to do a summer design sprint over 3 months. And I was surprised by myself how good it worked, because no, we didn't lose the momentum. Was online, was in sessions of 3 hours each. And I was catching people like coming from the holiday, going to holiday, before the holiday, like in between, and it worked. And this is one of the things that I would like to encourage you to do not stick to a receipt, to start to making your own, to see what needs do your participants have, right? Because if they say, no, it's not possible, and you cannot run a design sprint because of that, it's a pity, because you do not help them to reach their outcome, right? So in 3 days, I wouldn't do it. I would do it only if it's a product where I have already run maybe a design sprint, or I had already run a strategy sprint. That's another kind of sprint where you search for the strategy before you go in the design sprint. And then you know already what is the goal, you know already which challenge you want to work. You have already maybe a draft map. So you have already some work that you can make your base on, and then yes, you might be able to do it in 3 days. So just wanted to go through this. In case I didn't answer, please let me know. I will try to go fast through the questions, and I will come back at the end to them. So how do you go about choosing the right problem to work on? There is a specific workshop, which is called the scoping workshop. You probably don't want to run a design sprint like, hey, tomorrow we do a design sprint, because this might not help the team. you want to look to what are their perspectives. Are they aligned? Do they have a common goal? Do they go in completely different directions? Maybe they do not even have a strategy. And if they don't have a strategy or even a product strategy, then you might don't want to go directly in a design sprint, but to run a strategy sprint or a product strategy sprint upfront to be able to deep dive when you arrive to a design sprint and work on that specific challenge. So it depends. Ideally, you would do a workshop upfront to identify where are they. And it can also be that you identify that they have a strategy, that they have a product strategy, but they lack a lot of trust. So you might want to work on that before you go into the design sprint. Otherwise, it might be a very hard work for you as a facilitator to go with 7 or 8 or even, I don't know, 70 people in a design sprint. So I would say this would be answered. Just looking to the time to go quickly through them. Are there any specific facilitation techniques, frameworks you prefer, specifically for deciding on an agreed solution to test? If you're asking about some templates, if you go to Drawify, sorry, not Drawify, but to Miroverse, I was saying only Drawify today, it's on my lips. If you go into Miroverse and you are searching design sprint, you will find thousands of templates for it. I do like to use the Agent Smart one because I was trained by them and it feels comfortable for me, but feel free to choose. Also, Jake Knapp has one as far as I know. So there are a lot of them available and you have there like step by step and it's ready to be used. So you don't need to do too much preparation, I would say, except the scoping and some interviews up front. Can design sprints work with non-tangible outcomes such as strategy or ways of working? I think this I already touched by saying that it's important to run, if they do not have an aligned strategy or not at all a strategy, to run a strategy sprint upfront, which is slightly different than a design sprint, and it helps people to arrive on the same page when you start with them a design sprint. Good. So I see here some clustering. Thank you for doing that. We'll go to it. How to deal with pressure. Would be interesting to take blood samples of participants during a design sprint, for sure, and also to put some brain neurotransmitters to see how it goes. You could measure stress with other methods. I can only invite you if you wish. There are some webinars from Neuro Leadership Institute, and they talk about use cases, not on design sprints, but on different kinds of working. And because time is almost up, I would like, as Jill suggested, to invite you to wrap up. I will also leave you in the Miro board some, let's say, invitation to write how the session was like for you. And in the meanwhile, I will also show you some resources because you might be interested to look for more. I have here some articles about design sprints, benefits of design sprints, also the resource that I just showed you in the drawing. It's also created in Drawify, by the way. Also the neurotransmitters that are bringing the happiness to design sprints. In case you have probably a situation in your team and you would like to know what is the neuroscience behind that or to work on your own situation, I'm also inviting you to schedule a call if you'd like. I would be happy to talk with you. As soon as you go there, you will be able to select a date for next week. It's already booked, but then you have a free slots. I think 2 or 4 days are still available in December, but then it's closed. So I will just send you the link here. You'll see it in the Miro board, and I would be really, really happy to talk with you more. So putting it here in the chat and giving it back to Jill. Thank you so
Terrific.
much.
Thank you, Andra. And perhaps we will, there we go. We get to see everyone that was able to stay for the entire time together. Thank you so much for joining us today. It was wonderful, such great information, so much in such a short period of time and beautifully presented, effectively using Drawify in Miro also. So that was fantastic. I will also mention that we have recently added Maya, who is an AI assistant. So she helps us out in Drawify. And she helps translate complex information into visual summaries in just 1 minute. I can't tell you how much fun I have with her. So I'm creating all the time. We are delighted that you joined us here. Please feel free to add a comment or two in the chat because Andra and I will stay on for an extra minute or two to chat and just review what is there. It is our pleasure to be with you every month and sometimes even more frequently.
Thank you, Jill, for organizing, and Axel, who is not here today. Thank you guys for coming. I'm really grateful for that. And I can stay a few minutes if you have additional questions or something that you want to share. I'm happy to answer.
Terrific. Thank you so much. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the workshop and have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
You too.
you.
Thank you very
Well
much.
done.
Bye.
Bye. See you soon, Andra. Well
Bye.
done.
Bye, Björk.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Anna, for being here. And thank you for the
Andra.
people who are watching to the recording. So thank you so much. And inviting you, if you have questions still after you see the recording, to reach back to us. I think we can close the recording.